Hi everyone, this is Mattjestic Gaming. Welcome, and this is another Dota chess guide. So I'm gonna start right now. So the game's gonna load, and I'm gonna pause here. This is the game we had with Amaz in one of the higher lobbies. I think in the highest lobby on the Discord channel, and it's only for kings and queens. This lobby Amaz hosted, and yeah, we were lucky enough to join Amaz in this game. So what I'm gonna briefly introduce this game is that there are two things. One thing is the meta with the high rank gamings that I'm currently playing. So the king games and the queen games are the world top 100 queen games I'm playing. The pace of the game is so much faster compared to what it is like 2 weeks ago. And right now we might be seeing a lot of elves, we might be seeing a lot of people doing open fort elves, or a lot of druids, and a lot of other things. The reason they have those things is that they fasten the pace of the game so much that most of the late game builds, say hunters or goblins or other builds like trolls that didn't even get the key piece, the druids or the elves are already pushing for a lot of health on every player. So what we're likely to see is a lot of players with low health, and each of the player punished because their build is not mid game or early game enough. So what I want to introduce this new build is that there are several builds that I have with good replays, and this is one of the most recent build that I want to share with you guys. Let's go through this. I'll keep it a surprise what build are we going to go through. So let's have a look. We started with goblins because regardless what build we're planning to go, goblins are stronger, that each fight we win will be gaining 1 gold from the victory gold, and even any gold at the early game is very important. And also goblins can take us into a winning streak. So I'm gonna go briefly over this. So right now we have anti-mage and Queen of Pain. Usually I'll pick Queen of Pain because her ability to be combined with Bounty Hunter and her ability to do nuke damage. The only downside with Queen of Pain is that she has 0 armor, and as an assassin she always jump to the back and always get focused down usually. And this is why I put her on this position. It's so that with a tank, the enemy units will be hitting my Queen of Pain, and my units, the Queen of Pain, will be staying right at her place and hitting the enemy units and doing her AoE to most of the enemy front line and some of the back line. And I'm going to skip a bit. The next turn, we didn't get the best roll. We got 1 Tinker and 2 Task. So what I want to share with this one is we're looking for 2-star units. Right now, we're not focused on fully goblins, so any 2-star unit is a plus for us, because having a 2-star unit in the 4th round is very beneficial. Usually it's a high chance for us to win. So I'm going to skip a bit. We have some decent items. I gave the Queen of Pain Mask of Madness simply because she's at the back line. So this is the first time we saw Beastmaster. As some of you might have known, I'm a big fan of Beastmaster, and he's ranked my highest 2-star unit, similar to Queen of Pain, and I think that should be, and Timbersaw, that's right. So Timbersaw, Beastmaster are my top tier units for 2 stars, and Queen of Pain is just below them because she can't tank and she has 0 armor. And I'm going to be watching this fight, and because he has the goblin synergy, we didn't win the fight. We lost it pretty convincingly. So I'm gonna increase the pace a bit because I'm not sure if you guys actually, let me know in the comment below if you guys are okay with the pace of me going through the early rounds, because the reason I'm going through the early round is that to show you what I'm going through with in my mindset while I'm playing a high rank game, and also to show you the details of how a player adjusts in early games to plan for the late game. So right now my options are open. I saw the second Queen of Pain, I saw Razor, and my options are open. I can go for nuke damage, which that's what the ING or the rolls are giving me. I sold the Ogre for X simply because I have a Beastmaster that I plan to use, and having 2 Orcs gives us 250 health Orc synergy, and that's great. And I'm also opening myself to the path of 3 Orcs or 4 Orcs with Juggernaut and Disruptor. So I'm gonna watch, and most of the fights at this stage we're gonna lose because we don't have the Goblin synergy. 2 Queen of Pain on level 1, so we're not having a good time. We lost twice. Okay, we're currently on the bottom. I think Amaz is doing pretty well at the moment. So this is one of our top rows. And yeah, regardless, there's no excuse that we got one of the higher tier rows for getting 2-star Beastmaster. And yeah, this is one of the really nice rows for us. And this is when I figured that it's probably better for us to go with Orcs, because we just got a 2-star Beastmaster. And here I'm trying to figure out which units I want to keep on the board, because we can only have 4. And at the same time I want a bit of tank ability and a bit of nuke damage. And in the higher ranked games, in the early meta game, Anti-Mage is one of the best units because it mana burns and it has armor and magic resistance. So right now, because we had an additional unit of a Beastmaster, we actually won this fight simply because Beastmaster is such a great unit. After he shoots out his axes, for those that didn't know, he does increase physical damage depending on how many times his axe hit the enemy. And usually one swing of axe, so that means 2 instances of damage, will increase his damage by 40. And usually in a small skirmish, that's a lot. And sometimes he gets 2 axes off, that's 80 damage increased. It's like Batrider, but much stronger. We saw a Juggernaut. Right now we got to level 5. Notice how, I'm going to go back a bit. So right now, see, we finished turn 6. So I'm going to pause here. We finished turn 6. Right now we're at 2/4 experience on level 4. And notice how we lost the first 2 rounds and I won last round. And this is the second round. This is the round after I won the round. So what I'm going through my head is, after winning 1 round, I want to start my win streak. If I didn't win that round, I'll stay on level 4. I want to keep my losing streak. Because I won that round, I want to start my win streak. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to level up. So I can put an additional unit. And I'm going to put the Queen of Pain down. And right now, I want to buy the Juggernaut. Because the Juggernaut is also Orc, and we want some Orc synergies with our first 2-star unit. So right now, I'm planning to see if we can keep all the units, all the pairs we're holding, and buy the Juggernaut with the victory gold. If we can't, I'm planning to sell a unit. At this point, I'm looking at Tinker or Tusk. And it just happens. See, although we did roll into a 2-star Beastmaster, the other players, that's why they're Queen players, because they have the best RNG. They got a 2-star Clockwork, 2 Windrunners, and a 2-star Timbersaw, and they just annihilated us. So because I had a plan in mind, if I lose, I plan to sell Tinker. I sold him and bought the Juggernaut. Usually you want to plan the things a little bit ahead, and that was one of the nice things I did, because we might be out of time if the round ended very quickly. So right now we just hit one of the massive power spikes as an Orc, and I think most of us know that 4 Orcs, Disruptor is the last Orc we need, and the moment I hit that power spike, I'll be buying and selling the units I wanted, because we got a Beastmaster again. So with 4 Orcs, we're looking at increased health by 250 as the first 2 Orc, and increased health by 350 as this 4 Orc synergy. So right now all of the Orcs in the front line have 600 additional health, and that's as if each of our units are 2-star units. They don't have the damage or the magic damage, but they have the health of a 2-star unit. And our Beastmaster is super tanky right now. He's like 2.5 star right now. So what's going through my head is, I want to go into nuke damage because we have a great front line. We rolled into a Queen of Pain on this round, and that basically suggests that we want to go more nuke damage. And I put the reason down. The reason being that sometimes you want to go with nuke damage is because, I'm going to go back, it's because you look at the units you have, and if it synergizes with your main core units. So right now my core unit is my Disruptor, and my core unit is my Beastmaster. Both of those units does AoE damage. So if I can enhance the AoE damage capacity, that means we can annihilate the enemy or wipe them out instead of having them with half or like 1/3 health remaining. So as you can see right now, our nuke damage is actually very significant at this stage of the game, which is only round 9. So we did hit one of the top rows in the early game, and the reason being was that as a big fan of Beastmaster, I took a chance with the Beastmaster, and it just kept coming as a high rolling. And the second thing is, we planned the Axe and Juggernaut in advance, despite of having a few goblins, because it synergizes so well with Beastmaster that was our first 2-star. So usually in the early game, I'll center a few of my units with my 2-star unit, and if it's a task, sometimes I'll try a bit of the Zoo, sometimes I'll go with a bit of the Beast synergy, and if it's Enchantress, similarly I'll go with a bit of Druids, just for the early game. This early game is what secures us the income that we need for the mid-game. And once we get to the mid-game, I'll introduce this nice strategy that my friend told me today, and we have been testing it on Discord with several accounts, and it was very effective. So right now we're just rolling. We're looking for Ox and Queen of Pain or anything that does nuke damage. So notice I haven't started saving yet. So this is the first thing I want to introduce. Is that although saving is great, sometimes we want to keep an array of units that we can roll into. So we want to get as many pairs as we can that helps us. So right now I'm looking around. I want to see what each players are planning to use. Are they using the units I'm planning to use, or are they using the units I don't plan to use? Right now I don't need to deny them, but rather I want to avoid the popular units that everyone's using. But of course I need my Orc energy, so I'll be taking Orcs regardless right now. So as you can see, our nuke damage was just short of killing the enemy. Now imagine if we had a 2-star Razor, this would be wiped and I think it will win the round. So although we hit the jackpot with the Disruptor, we're still lacking on damage. So round 12, we haven't started saving yet. I'm still keeping units that will synergize as well. So let me explain the reason we haven't started saving yet. If we save right now, we sell most of our unit for 10 gold. That means for each round, the next few rounds, we'll be getting 1 or 2 additional gold from the savings. 2 is being generous. So by getting 1 or 2 additional gold in the early rounds, I have limited my chances of getting 2-star units, like period. So I won't be getting any 2-star units because I don't have enough pairs that's waiting for 2-star. So because of that, I think it's actually worthwhile having more pairs waiting instead of having a greater saving in this stage of the game. Because when I find those pairs, they're so much more valuable than having 1 or 2 gold. And right now we see a Juggernaut. So I sold the Old Mini. I kept the Old Mini simply because I want some 3-star units like Razor. So having a Mini reduces the pool of 3-star units. And because I didn't have enough for the savings, so I bought a Mini 9. Right now we're looking around 13. What I'm doing on this round is I'm sitting on 9 gold. I'm sitting on a lot of pairs. Axe, Lycan, Beastmaster, Razor, and additional Queen of Pain. I'm looking at the unit that I'm planning to sell if I lose, because I want to be on 10 gold. And that unit is Queen of Pain. And as you can see, we're facing someone with 2 Shadow Thing at round 13. And it's just enough that our nuke damage managed to take them out, although they have the much stronger units. So this is saying that our nuke lineup is actually having great potential for the mid game, because we saw that how strong the other player is. If we didn't have the nuke damage, if we had say units that are melee that require to attack say TA or a Timbersaw, actually Timbersaw doesn't nuke them, let's say Bounty Hunter, we'll jump in and they would have nuked us. So this is the second thing I want to discuss. Up to this point, as you can see, my health is at 80%. Up to this point, I have been staying on my winning streak. And noticing that, I want to push my winning streak a little further. There's 2 reasons why I will do this. One is that I have to consider, let me pause for a moment. I have to consider, if I level up, do I have a unit that I can put on the board that will significantly, or it would dramatically increase my lineup? So the unit I'm looking at currently is Lycan. The reason being is Lycan is a warrior, And being a warrior, he will run the warrior synergy with Beastmaster and Juggernaut. Now because we have the Orc synergy of increased health by 600, having 7 additional armor increases our physical damage reduction I think by about 15 or 17%. So having health and armor makes our frontline super tanky, and having additional unit like Lycan sometimes can really push the health pool of the enemy player. Sometimes we've all seen Lycans just summon 2 wolves and the other player just ourselves just loses additional 2 health, and we just go, oh my god, you should have killed me earlier, because the Lycan just summoned wolves. So having a Lycan would greatly increase my lineup's survivability and enhance my chance of having a win streak. Now I'll be planning to stay on level 7 for a while, and as we go through this, I'll explain why. Notice how my Queen of Pain has a Mask of Madness, and although she has a Mask of Madness, she is at 50-50 to be attacked by an assassin because Razor is next to her. And if assassins do attack her, sometimes it's beneficial because they won't be able to kill her, and she will get her first line of nuke off, and half the time she will kill the assassin or weaken the assassin for the rest of the nuke to come in. Round 15, we want a bit of saving right now. I'm going to sell the additional Queen of Pain, the task, so we're sitting on 10 gold. Gold management, it is important, but right now I'm prioritizing on my pair arrangement so we can have a chance of high rolling into units that we need. And as an update for 3-star units, I think Razor currently is my top tier 3-star unit. Previously with Shadowfiend, because of the recent nerf to Shadowfiend's additional damage, right now it's Razor, and Shadowfiend will be right next to Razor. So items. Usually I give my tanky items to my melee bruisers, and I give my attack item to my range attackers like Queen of Pain that can stay away from the battle, or needs to get her spells off. We see another Juggernaut. So right now we got a Juggernaut pair that's formed into a 2-star Juggernaut. All the damage item goes to Queen of Pain, and right now we're sitting pretty comfortable with 7 units on the board that has good synergy, great nuke damage, and yeah, right now we're very comfortable. I'm looking around again to see what each of players are up to and to see how many units they're using. Most of them are using 6 to 7 units, which is where we are, and there isn't anything we need to be aware of that will like greatly impact us, say an anti-mage right in front of my disruptor. As you can see, my nuke damage right now is very nice. We're actually clearing up the enemy before they can do massive damage to us. Even on this round, I think if we last a little longer because of the nuke damage, we're able to win the rounds against players of higher value. I bought Alchemist for the same reason of reducing the pool of units I wanted. I want disruptors. Buying the Alchemist increases the chance of getting a disruptor. Because they're only 15 purple units each, buying an Alchemist I think might be increasing the disruptor's chance by like 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 100. I haven't really worked on the probability, but it will slightly increase the chance of a disruptor. It's very minimum. So when we need the gold, we'll still sell it for the gold. I'm considering to keep the Crystal Madam because I want my units to be casting as fast as they can, and some of my units have really short cooldown. For example, Queen of Pain has only 6 seconds, and Razor have 10-second cooldown. And if we get 2 volley of spells off, usually we'll wipe the table against the enemy. Now notice how that, although at the start of the game, let me go up a bit. Although at the start, I'm gonna go back a little bit. Although at the start of the game, we're at the bottom of the list because we're losing health as we forge our 2 pairs into units, and we're slowly climbing back. Not only we top rolled a few units we needed, but also our synergy is really working well in this mid game. So what I'm looking for right now, let me go quickly. I think we've finished the warp round. Let's go back a bit. Yeah, we got the Juggernaut, that's right, and we won this round. So right now I'm looking to save up. I saw the Crystal Madden. The Crystal Madden is here. The moment I lose, I'll sell the Crystal Madden first. And if I needed more gold, I don't think I would. I will stay on below gold instead of selling my Lycan or any other units, because I think it's more valuable to keep my units than selling them. This is something I have changed in terms of unit selection and prioritizing on units instead of saving, because I feel that I'm spending so much gold in the late game looking for units. Why don't I just keep them in the early game? Yes, the income is important, but having a key unit that's 2-star is more important in the mid game and late game. So we're going to be saving, and we're going to be looking at units that we need. Right now, units we need are Disruptors, Lycans, Axe, and we got a Razor, by the way. So over here, we managed to find a Razor, and that greatly increased our chance of wiping the enemy with nuke damage. I'm putting the Razor next to Queen of Pain, so the nuke damage is focused on this center, has the greatest chance of hitting an enemy, whether they're left or right, and Razor will do massive damage to the end point of the enemy. So yes, as you can see here, each of the fights here we're winning with quite overpowered units of nuke damage, and the Queen of Pain, Disruptor, and Razor does right enough damage that we're killing most of the squishy enemies, and whatever is left, our tanky Orcs will clean up, and Queen of Pain will go with the second round of spells. So right now, as most of you would have guessed, we're looking at Orc Mages, and I think someone on stream or someone on YouTube actually suggested Orc Mages, and he said if you have any plans, please look into that. So just happened today we have a game of Orc Mage, so yeah, let's go into the Orc Mage now. I'm looking around again. I see a 2-star Lone Druid, I see with anti-mages, and I see this person's in the corner, and this person's a bit far back. So I think my solid nuke lineup is quite good right now because they are forming the units in a ball, and when they are grouping up the units, is what people do at this stage of the game, I should do pretty good damage. And the moment I thought of that, the Lone Druid combination, though I think Amaz, who actually defeated us earlier, got us again, because the bear have 10% magic resistance and great armor. We actually can't deal with the bear right now. We got a 2-star Axe, which is very nice. We got our second Disruptor. I'm keeping the Park in case I wanted the synergy with mages, because Park is also a mage, but it's not any particular mage I want to keep. What I want to keep is Crystal Maiden, Keep Pearl of the Light, or a Leech for the late game. That's if I have enough unit slots for the mages. So right now we're fighting, and we got a plate mail, which is very nice, and we got more Orcs. So the moment I get additional units, I have already planned what units I'll be taking back and what units I'll be fusing for them. We also got a Juggernaut. So right now we're looking at a really comfortable spot, although we just lost the last round. So I'm gonna go pause at this point. So one more pause. So right here, although we just lost the last round, I think my previous habit would be, hey, I lost my winning streak, so I'm gonna save up to get to 50 gold and start spending on my interest. But right now, because the fast pace of the meta game, if I did that, I basically gave my enemy more chances to wipe me down and take out my health, and also not punishing my enemy for saving. So what I'm doing right now is I had 2 plans in mind before this round started. So before I saw the rogue, my plans were, if I were to get any pair matches, so the Disruptor is a nice upgrade, Lycan's a nice upgrade. If I get my Beastmaster or my Juggernaut, I'm swapping them out for Lycan. And if I get 2 pair matches, which is very rare, I'm planning to level up to level 8 to punish the other player and secure my health pool. I'm not that focused on my saving to 50 because I know I want to speed the pace of the game even further. So right now we got our really high roll, we got the Juggernaut, we got the Beastmaster. I took down the Lycan. 2 reasons why I did that. He's a 1-star, and also, so yeah, I'm gonna level up now simply because I got a 2-star upgrade I can put down and to make my board so much stronger in terms of nuke damage. Juggernaut is a sustained AoE damage, which is synergizes really well with the nuke damage. The reason I took down the Lycan is because although we have the 7 armor bonus, right now most of the units does magic damage, and we want to be nuking down the enemy instead of surviving long enough from physical damage. So nuke damage is our top priority. As you can see, we managed to kill the enemy before they had a chance to do physical damage to us. So armor becomes irrelevant when we just nuke them down. So I guess the greatest defense is offense in that case, for the time being, I guess. We have lost a lot of our saving. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I was planning to stay on level 7 for a while, but the moment I got a 2-star upgrade that I can place down, I would go up, simply because I know how fast paced the game needs to be in the high rank games. Because if I were to wait longer, I'll be seeing a 2-star Medusa, a 1-star Tide, or a mage with a great lineup of 6 mages, and my units won't be strong enough to be running into them and being wiping down by a 2-star Dragon Knight, because we really don't want to give other players time to look for what they want, rather punish each player for their greed on saving. So again, we're fighting other players, and the moment we get a nuke damage off, we have great potential. And although they killed a few of us, some of our units are so tanky, like Juggernaut, because he's magic immune while he's spinning. And also I give the plate mail to my Juggernaut, knowing that he's magic immune, the only thing that will take him down is physical damage. We saw another Razor, I'm gonna keep the Razor. Right now, saving gold management is important, so I'm looking at the table right now. So let me pause here. So yeah, as you can see my mouse, I went back and forth on the Lycans. So what I'm doing is, I'm counting how much gold I have, I'm counting how much gold I can have after selling the units I'm looking at. Simply because right now my next upgrade, I want to be my next upgrade to be a Razor or a Crystal Maiden. I also want some gold. So I'm counting the Lycan again to double check the value, although I know it's 6. I'll be selling the Lycan, and I just did. I sold the Lycan, so my saving went back to 30. As you can see, my saving is going back and up around 30 and 40, but it never went over 50, simply because I want to be fast paced. And this was a very nice Razor AoE. And our Juggernaut, compared to his Juggernaut, won again, simply because he had a plate mail. Won the round for us, that is. So right now another Lycan came, just to tease with me, said, hey, if you didn't sell that Lycan friend, you could be having 2-star Lycan. But that is okay. So the reason why I sold the Lycan without the second dot is that our nuke lineup really wants nuke damage. We don't need summon units, and we don't need tank ability. We want damage first. We want to be nuking down the enemy instead of having them survive with a little bit of health and getting their spells off. Because if we don't kill the enemy under, say, a few seconds, we actually charge up the enemy with mana that they can actually have the second round against us. So right now we're looking at the Lone Druid, and it's Amaz who wiped us earlier. And because our unit synergy and our double spinning Juggernaut, which is crazy on the field, and our double linings from Disruptor and Razor, we actually managed to defeat Amaz with a high unit count. So as you can see, I'm going to pause here. Each of the rounds, I'm also paying a bit of attention to see who has faced me and who has defeated me, and what unit composition they have that they defeated me. Did they defeat me because they mana burned my units? Or did they defeat me because they had a great lineup that countered my units? Or did they simply have a Tide or a Medusa that just locked down my units? So yeah, I'm back to 40 gold, I'm back to 50 gold. This is round 25, and even at round 25, I'm not really looking at the gold count, but rather I'm looking at the units I can sell to get back to 50, but sometimes I can accept that I just lose 1 gold interest. So previously I always aimed to get my gold to 50 or to 40 as much as I can, but now I'm prioritizing on my units. So I keep the Conquer because Conquer is a great delayed stun and nuke damage, and also Conquer is a warrior. So we still want the warrior armor bonus if we can manage to get it. Simply because Conquer is a great addition to our AoE damage and our survivability. So, 2 things here. I have mentioned several times in my guides that we want power spikes around round 26. And although I'm sitting on saving of 61 gold, I spent most of my gold leveling up this round to level 9 because I know having a conquer on the field again increase my survivability, and I have a delayed stun, which will be a follow-up after Disruptor. I'm gonna go fast forward a bit into the battle. Let's have a look. So I haven't gone into the battle directly, and I have been skipping some of the battles simply because, as I described earlier, the moment our nuke damage is great enough, we kill most of the enemies and they don't stand a chance. The moment our nuke damage is not high enough, we lose the fight because the enemy will do all the round of spell back onto us with full mana. So right now, as you can see, the Disruptor is going to get his spells off. If Conquer was standing correctly, he will be following up. But our Juggernauts were standing correctly, they followed up with Razor. So we're winning the fight pretty single-handedly, and we're climbing the health chart right now, and because we have defeated every enemies we met in terms of defense and offense, I know I'm in a very comfortable position. So I'm keeping this Enigma for two reasons. One is that I'm going to pause right here. One is that we have elemental synergy. Second thing is we have two blink daggers sitting here. I'm planning to put one on the Razor and get him to blink in for the melee units to hit him and get stunned. And also the second thing is the Enigma is great unit against PvE bosses, say dragons or even trolls for the late game, because we have some nuke damage, but they're not high enough to nuke down high HP units like 10,000 plus health dragons. So Enigma does pure damage that's flat on HP percent, and one cast by Enigma will do 50% damage at level 1, which is great for in terms of fighting dragons or PvE monsters. Again, I'm fighting a different person. This time he had a ball of units and he got his spells off first, but we survived because we had the Orc buff on the Disruptor, and because of that we were fully charged with mana. And I'm also looking around to see who is facing me and if they survived. So I'm going to skip a little bit. Oh yeah, this is the second thing I want to show. So to stick with our plan to be punishing every player as early as we can and to keep in larger advantage, I haven't started saving, and I don't plan to be saving. I'm rolling out my gold each turn to be spending my savings and not all of my gold, but I'm rolling each turn to see if I can get any form of upgrade. When I say upgrade, I mean, can I get units that synergizes well with my lineup? I'm considering mages, and one of the reasons I'm also rolling is that I wanted to see a Disruptor, because one star Disruptor won't be enough very soon in the game. Now that we found a 2-star Disruptor, our capability of nuke damage just increased massively. 1-star Disruptor does 200 damage in total in 2 seconds, and 2-star Disruptor does 600 damage in total in 3 seconds, and that's massive. So yeah, 2 of the Windrunners died to the bolt and our nuke damage. So right now, we have managed to get to the top position in the game, and knowing that, I can be afford to be saving a little, but still, I'm looking at my units and I'm considering looking at the lineup. I'm currently on 9 units and I have 1 unit waiting that is a new unit. So the plan is, if we can convert our 2-star to 3 stars, we free up a spot. But if we don't, those units are going to stay where they are. So it is likely I won't be using the Crystal Maiden, or I won't be using Enigma. Right now I favor the Enigma over the Crystal Maiden. And that's why, after seeing a Juggernaut, I'll be selling the Crystal Maiden to keep the Juggernaut. Notice how I'm running the game with 200 plus ping, and because I'm having such a high ping, I usually stop any sort of interaction and unit swapping after when there's only 10 seconds left in the game. This greatly affects how much I can juggle around, and in particular builds that you need to spend a lot of gold quickly, that really punishes me. So we're finding a player with dragon synergy, and he also has undead. But because we have the warrior armor, we have a lot of nuke damage, and we have great magical damage. We managed to kill his dragons before they can do enough damage to us. But this also indicates that our units are not so strong enough we win with 6 or 5 units. We just barely scratched a win with this person. And I noticed that I think it was him, but because he's on such a low health, and I know I won't be getting him again, so I'm not too worried. Round 30. We are fighting lizards, and guess what? We actually can't defeat any of the lizards because most of our units are nuke damage and the lizards have high health pool. And just as I was mentioning to you guys that Enigma is a great unit for PvE to fight neutral monsters, I forgot to write my Enigma down on the field. So, you know, a bit of that. And here, I wanted a power spike on one of the rounds after the neutral round, and this is round 31. So again, I'm digging into my savings to any sort of upgrade. We found 2 at the moment, and right now I think a Razor and a 2-star Conquer is better than a Juggernaut. I'm still keeping the Axe over there, not because Axe is a great tank, but rather we need him for the Orc synergy. And I have higher preference for the Beastmasters because not only do the axes deal physical damage, but they also increase the damage taken for the enemy from Beastmaster after they swing the axe. So again, I'm digging into savings in search of a Juggernaut because I know that will be a great upgrade. I'm digging into savings massively because I know there's only a few players left. I can wait for the game to end slowly, and you know, maybe I'll have enough saving for the late game, or having enough saving for level 10. And you know, sometimes I remember game used to go to round 45 or 50, but right now I really don't want them to be hitting the crucial units and to have any chance of coming back. So again, the games are getting very close, and I lost this round. And this basically reinforces my point that I'm not the strongest player in the game at the moment, but I'm the best player at saving my health because most of the person I'm versing, they don't have enough well-rounded team to defeat every player they face. So I'm digging into savings. I really want this Juggernaut, but knowing how time's up, I'm gonna stop. So right now we're looking at 4 players. The player that just defeated us is the 3rd player. We know there's 50% less chance of facing him, although sometimes you face him twice and you lose heavily against the same player multiple times. But we know there's less chance of us facing him. Because of that, I haven't changed my lineup. But if it was me versus him 1 vs 1, each time I lost the fight, I will be changing my lineup. Simply because if I don't change my lineup, it's the same scenario over and over. Here we're going to go into our units again, and we're rolling, but we haven't got anything. And this time we found the dragon player, and the other players were managing to take themselves out. And here we're versing 1 more player left, and I know I want to be spending as much as my gold to be rolling for units I need for an upgrade. I wanted the Razor and I wanted the Juggernaut. But due to my internet pings, I only had enough time for the Juggernaut. And yeah, over here, this is the neutral round, and this time I remembered to put my Enigma down, and we won the fight. So let's keep going forward a bit. Okay, so right now I put the blink dagger on my Juggernaut, and I'm gonna pause here because I think a lot of players or a lot of friends were asking me on Twitch and on YouTube comments saying they want to see a bit of the late game. I made this video and I'm gonna focus on the late game just for this particular part. So when I'm higher health than the enemy player, I want to be watching his screen instead of my screen. This is the first part of the late game strategies. You actually want to see where your units stand when you face the enemy. Of course, we can't pause the game each time we face the enemy, but the reason being is you want to see his formation and you want to see where do your crucial unit land against the enemy. Is your tide facing his anti-mage, or is your tide avoiding his anti-mage? This is because he's on lower health and you want him to lose instead of you to win the fight. So it's okay if you lose the fight because you still have high health. I remember players were telling me that they had higher health and were leading the game but lost the late game. One of the reasons is you really have to study how your units are positioned with the enemy. So right now I can see my Juggernaut blinks forward and he's basically distracting the DK, which is what I wanted. And my Disruptor got his spells off. So I know that if the game keeps going, this is the position I want them to be. And maybe even move the Juggernaut over here. So on my map, I'll be reversing my Juggernaut's position to see if he blinks onto the DK. Again, I see both of my Razors got their spells off, which is great. And I see that I'm winning the fight. I'm going to pause here, and as we can tell, I'm going to win this fight and also win this game at this point. But what I'm going to suggest is, if the game were going to keep going, and if the game were going to change, so what I'm planning to do, let's say if we lost that fight, what I'll do is, if my Disruptor didn't get his spells off, I'm going to consider two things. Did my Disruptor die, or did my Disruptor did not get enough mana? If my Disruptor died there, then he has to be positioned, protected, or even at the back. So if he died there, I'll put 2 units next to him and to see if it worked. If he still died, I'll put him at the back. Now if he didn't get his spells off because lack of mana, I'll place him at the front and remove other units that are next to him, so he is likely to be focus fired. And also, what are the units that my unit died first? If they were the Beastmasters and I want the Beastmasters to survive, I'll put the Beastmasters to the back. If my Queen of Pain died due to nuke damage of AoE, maybe it's nice to put my Queen of Pain in the back and like jump into the back line. And if my Conqueror was silenced by the enemy humans, which happens quite frequently, maybe I want my Conqueror to be on the side, so although he received less damage and cast spells less quickly, but it's likely that he'll get his spells off. So there's a few things I'm looking into the late game in terms of strategy of positioning. So as a hypothetical scenario, if I had a Tidehunter, which is 1 star, I will usually put my Tidehunter at the front with HP items next to 2 units that I also want things to be casted. For example, a Conqueror or a Disruptor that is 2 star. So usually Tidehunter is a bit hard to get to 2 star. Now if I had a 2 star Tidehunter, I actually don't need any tanking items for the Tidehunter. I actually want him to be losing health quickly so he get his spells off. So I actually put him at the front with no units next to him. And if I have a Deucer, I'll put most of my damage dealing items on the Deucer so she get her spells off quickly. Now if my Deucer have any tanking items, I'll put her on the second line or even on the first line, depending on how the enemy is positioned. Another thing is, if the enemy has an anti-mage and you just faced him and his anti-mage burned all your Tide's mana or burned all your Deucer's mana, you really want to swap your positioning. But a good player will be swapping the positioning of the anti-mage according to how you swap, so you can swap your unit on the last few seconds so he won't have a time to react. So I think that's a bit of the sidetrack that into the late game that we discussed a bit here, and hopefully that helped you guys a bit. And if you guys want to hear more of the late game, I'll be planning to make a particular guide focused on several replays of a late game scenario of different type of games to show you guys how Tidehunters, Medusas, or other units work well in those type of synergy. So yeah, we're gonna let the game go to the end game. I'm gonna pause here. So we got this account back to the Queen, and yeah, it was a very nice game with Amaz, and we had a good time playing Orc Mages. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this game as much as I did, and you know, please leave anything in the comments. Let me know if there's any suggestions. So please like and subscribe, and I'll keep up the guides as much as I can daily. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.